Mouse PI for Hire is a new FPS boomer shooter that came out on the 16th of April for all current platforms. It is made by Fumi Games and published by Playside. Now, when I first saw this game, I was really drawn into it, no pun intended, by the classic rubber hose style that this game presented. And with the gameplay being reminiscent to the first ever Doom games and all the other shooters of the time with that style of gameplay, I was eagerly anticipating its release. And now that it is out, and having played it for over 20 hours, I can safely say it's living up to the expectations that I had of it. I was pleasantly surprised with a lot of the things they put in, and you could tell that these devs put in a lot of work to this game. For starters, let's talk about its performance, and since I'm playing it on PC, I have to say it ran pretty damn smooth for me, and it was definitely hitting a stable 120 frames per second. And hell, I even played it on my Steam Deck, and there too, it maintained a solid 60 FPS there, and it just ran great the whole time, and I barely had any dropped frames, maybe the occasional stutter here and there, but other than that, it was pretty stable frame rate. I mean, it's definitely not the most graphic intensive type game, but it's always nice to have a game that just runs well. And speaking of the art style in this game, it is phenomenal with all the environments, weapons, and characters you interact with. It really feels like it was ripped out of an old-timey cartoon. Even the bullets in the corner of the screen have the same art style, which is just crazy. Also, the music in this game is absolutely amazing, and all the jazz tracks that they have in here just fit in so well with the setting of the game. And the voice acting here is surprisingly well done, considering you're, well, in a world where everyone is a mouse. And your main character is voiced by Troy Baker, who always does a great job with whatever role he has to perform for. But I will say the dialogue isn't always the greatest, but that's really not important to me unless you're an IGN reviewer, I guess. Either way, the story itself is pretty good, which has you going around trying to solve multiple cases in the fictional town of Mouseburg. And by solve cases, I mean just pick up clues in each of the levels, because you don't really solve anything, but that really isn't the main focus of the game. It would have been cool if you could actually piece together these clues and solve the cases yourself. Yes, it would have, but is it necessary for you to enjoy the game? No, it isn't, because this game is more of a shooter than a mystery-solving type game. But let's get into the gameplay, which, like I mentioned before, is a boomer shooter. In that sense, yeah, it's an awesome one at that. And it has usual tropes you expect to come out of a shooter like this, with unique levels and tons of secret areas for you to find with collectibles for you to grab. So if you play any other shooter of this kind, you'll feel right at home with this one. Also, another thing is that you have extreme mobility, including having a dash, a double jump, and even a helicopter move with your tail that lets you glide over areas safely. Also, you have a hook shot, which you go to swing onto different levels in this game as well as having a fair share of power-ups that feel like they came right out of Doom, the newer ones, like the Berserk mode, which is whenever your character eats spinach, so Popeye reference, or a hot pepper gumball power-up, where you set all your enemies on fire with any gun that you have equipped, and a super speed mode whenever you drink coffee, giving him the all-powerful finger guns. And it's safe to say that that is the best power-up in this game, hands down. And it wouldn't be a good boomer shooter if you didn't have your fair share variety of weapons, and this game definitely has all the weapons you expect out of a Doom-like game, even down to the plasma rifle, which here they call the D-Varnishers.
Dip.
So very clever. The only thing I can say is that you can usually use just one weapon for the whole level, and there really isn't a need to use the other weapons, even though there are so many of them. For instance, once I picked up the Tommy gun in this game, which they called it the James gun, haha, get it? Either way, after that, I only really found myself using that weapon a majority of the time, and maybe a shotgun here or there, because it definitely just is the best gun in the game for long and close range encounters. And I barely felt like switching it, only when I got bored of just mowing everyone down with that machine gun all the time. Also, this game provides you with tons of ammo and health, and even some armor each room, so It's definitely hard to run out of health or ammo for any gun in this game. Also, I did play it on the normal difficulty or the detective difficulty, and I do plan on playing it through a harder difficulty on my next playthrough, but I just want to let you know, like, at least the normal difficulty, if you've played like a shooter before, it's pretty easy, and I would advise like maybe going on Super Sleuth to make it a little bit harder if you're looking for more of a challenge. By the way, you can also carry cheese, which gives you health as well if you're ever in a pinch, so there's really a lot of ammo, like I said, and health in this game. There are also weapon upgrades in this game, which gives every gun an alternate fire mode. For instance, the shotgun gets a powered up shot, which if you hold down the alternate fire button, it just puts up a wheel, and once that wheel gets full, you have a full powered up shot. And it's just useful for taking out bigger enemies, and the machine gun gets a spray and pray fire mode, which just unleashes a barrage of bullets on multiple targets. You can get these upgrades by finding schematics throughout each of these levels, and each weapon has 3 levels of upgrades. Each upgrade gives you less recoil and more bullets for that gun as well. But like I said before, there are multiple collectibles including newspapers, comic books, and baseball cards, taking up the majority of those collectibles. And speaking of the baseball cards, there is a baseball card minigame, and I have to say, it is pretty damn addicting. It made me want to find all the baseball cards in the game so I could find a better card to put into my deck and dominate the competition whenever I decide to play the little minigame. And yeah, I always love it when a game puts in a little addictive minigame within the game itself, and just makes me want to actually get the collectibles, and makes collectibles a little bit more fun to actually collect, rather than just being like, oh, you have to find 20 of these or 20 of these. I always like when the games put a little bit extra effort into their collectibles. Another cool thing is the lockpick minigame, speaking of minigames, where you use your tail to pick different varying difficult locks in the game. Some have a time limit, and some have certain moves you'll be allowed to use to solve the lock. Also, how you traverse to the next level by using your car on the world map is really awesome as well. And you can drive to which level you want if you have multiple cases open that have different locations. And this world map really reminds me of the Cuphead map, where you essentially just pick which level you want to do, but instead it is all closed off or locked away. Not really like the Cuphead one, where only sections of the map are locked away and you can do any level in those sections. Here it's either you have 1 or 2 locations you can travel to, but just like the art style and how it goes about itself just really reminds me of Cuphead. But like I said earlier, the variety in these levels is crazy, because you can go from inside an evil lair to an opera house to a movie studio to a city underground in the sewers, just to name a few. All in all, this is definitely a great boomer shooter, and with its unique visuals and extra things to do, it'll definitely provide you a good time for you, especially if you like these type of boomer shooters. And with it being only $30, I think the price is pretty justified. So I say definitely pick this up as soon as you can, especially if you enjoy the boomer shooter genre. And for me, this is honestly one of my favorite games of the year so far, behind Resident Evil 9 and Crimson Desert, and no, I'm not kidding. I know I'll be playing throughout this game again sometime very soon, but first, I have to try Pragmata, so be on the lookout for that review next. Anyway, that is all I have for you today. I hope to see you on the next video. Peace.